Now the hot topic. We're going to talk about a little bit of menu selling, blending and bundling, and an objection handling process. First and foremost, when the customers say no, treat it as a request for more information. When the customers say no, they're really saying, no, not right now based on what you told me, but if you give me some more information, I'll consider some more. That's really what they're saying. So we've got to make sure that we allow them to have that information. Now, first and foremost, why do we get objections? The first one's a reflex. I got to think about it. I do this all the time. I'm going into a store. I know exactly what I want specifically. So I go into a store, someone says, can I help you? I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. And then after I say, oh, actually, do you know where this is? It's a reflex, right? So when the customers say, I got to think about it, just remember this. They're not going to go home and say, hey, family, give me a second. I got to think about this. They're not thinking of scratch. They want out of there, and they want out of there quick. It's a reflex. But if you isolate the objection and find out the sincere objection, so if someone says, I got to think about it, it's simple as saying, when you say you got to think about it, is it something I said? Is it like the products, or is it you didn't want your payment to change? I don't want my payment to change. So you want to find out which one it is, because if it's budget, actual money they have available, if it's a deal, they like it, but they didn't get enough value, or if it's a decision, fear or lack of trust, if you isolate it into these components, you could work with those. You can't work with this. So bring it down to something you could work with. And then the customer will let you know what it is, and then you could help them. Imagine you talk to, when I had a partner, I'd say, oh, you could tell the face is mashed up. There's something wrong. And I'd say, what's wrong? Nothing. You know, damn good there's something. So I say, okay. No, honestly, what's wrong? You can talk to me. Open up. Well, this, I didn't like when you do this. Okay, let's talk about it. You could deal with that, right? But you can't deal with nothing. So same as this. When you hear that, just know it's just them wanting to get out there, find out the sincere, you could deal with it. Okay. Now the beautiful thing is, you notice how I finished off saying, is it something I said? Is it the value of the products? Or is it you didn't want your payment to change? Guess what they're going to hold on to? Exactly, because you want them to be guided there. If you said, what's wrong? Like, why did you say no? They're just going to say, I got to think about it. So get them to figure it out so you could get, because you could work. When they say, I don't want my payment to change, Stephanie's fave.
We'll use that next time.
You could do that. Sign here.
Send that to everybody.
Now, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. So, you know what always intrigues me? When you're in sales, how many of you sold cars? Okay. So when customer comes in, you meet them, you do a well-scripted greeting, build rapport, product presentation, demo, service walk, evidence manual. You're ready to close them. You go to the manager, you get the numbers, you present it to the customers. Do they say yes at the first go usually?
Usually.
You work the deal. You work the deal. You're prepared for a no so you can work the deal. Now, what I'm always surprised in the F&I office when the customers say no, we're shell shock. We're shell shock. Like as if you're not expecting most people to say no. Most will say no because you articulated your stuff in one go, and then you're asking them, they hardly understand it, so it's easy for them to say no. When you learned your product knowledge for the first time, you didn't understand it so quick. Now that you're comfortable with it, look how you're explaining it to the customer and you're expecting them to understand it. Especially when you don't peel back the onion. That's why I use shoes so protect them on your feet. Sunscreen. Because when they know these things, now they know this stuff. So we gotta be, first of all, don't be surprised. Be prepared. And I know why this happens, because I was in the box. When the customer says no, it's almost like death. Oh God, where do we go? And you know what it usually is? We go to our one-trick pony. We go to warranty and we're done. I'm going to show you a method. When the customer says no, you're asking them for it all again. Customer says no again, you ask them for multiple products again. With no pressure, your customers are going to leave, give you hugs. They're going to love you. There's no pressure, no kickback. Brent told you CSI was the highest. Yep, highest gross and CSI in our store. People think that don't go together. Oh, you bet they do. With this approach, the consulting approach, it does. So first of all, if you're going to have if you're going to deal with objections, have a great needs discovery. If you didn't build rapport at the beginning, forget it. Because it's interrogation. They don't even know your heart's in it, so they don't care what you have to say because you're just defending yourself. So nobody talk about how do I do objection handling if you're not building rapport. Done. Don't even start. You got to do that first. Active listening, remember? Remember those hearts, the two ears? You got to listen to what they say because they're going to share stuff that you tie down. You know, when you ask them at the beginning, even when you say, why did you buy the car? And they share you some stuff. Later, when you're presenting those items, remember you did say. So that's always important. So if you didn't listen to them, what they're saying, scrap it. You don't do objections handling if you don't do the work first. Lasting first impression. Look, act, sound, look, think like a pro. Imagine I came here with grease on my shirt, coffee stain here, and a little stain on here. Does it matter what I have to say? I'll tell you a story. I went to a bank. I deal with Scotia, CIBC Imperial Service for my investments. They offered me to come in. It's their more premium investment services. So I go to the person's office and I sit at the desk. I see a customer's information here. I see a paper with some customer stuff and some more papers. And when they came in, I'm like, I feel a little uncomfortable that you have this stuff. And she's, I'm just cleaning it up, put it away. I'm thinking, no way. If that's how you're doing that, that's what you're doing mine. I was out of there. Doesn't matter what they could get returned. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to listen. So when we think of our offices, we got a word here, a plaque here, this here, dirty desk. Who wants to deal with that? No, they're just going to say, I think I'm good. No one wants to deal with that. If you can't clean up, have a decent office, you can't run my stuff. And that's how they feel, but they're not going to tell you that. So just remember that. You got to look, act, sound, look like a pro, and confidence sells. Know your product knowledge. You have to. If a customer says what it is, don't wing it. Say, you know what? Interesting you said that. I just started. Let me find out about that. They more respect that than you winging it. When you come into the dealership, customer's going to ask you questions because they already did their research. And depending on what you say, they're going to know you're a fraud. And if you fraud them out, they're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'll pass. So again, just remember what we're doing and remember what we're saying and remember how we're prepared. So again, if you don't have this, don't talk objection handling. Doesn't make sense. You got to earn your right. Okay. Now it's no different from me. Look, when I train this course, I give you guys some value first, the mindset. And then I ask you to participate in some role play. So I give you some value first. So I give first and then ask. So the customer is the same thing. Like, don't just run in there telling them how to run the show because they'll tell you how to run off. And guess what? Who's right? It's the customer. So we got to make sure we reduce those barriers to entry.